I'm assuming you're the night watchman here.
Welcome to another episode of New Gameplay Today. Thank you for tuning into Game Informer. I'm your host, Alex Van Aken. Today joined by Marcus Stewart, and we're going to be taking a look at the casting of Frank Stone. It's a single-player game set in the Dead by Daylight universe. Supermassive Games and Behaviour Interactive are teaming up for this one. Marcus and I are going to be showing you about 7 minutes of the gameplay. This is the opening moments of the game. Marcus, what are we looking at today?
So yes, this is the prologue chapter of the game. It's set in 1963, and you're playing as Sam Green, who's the police officer. You arrive at the Cider Hill Steel Mill, which is the kind of the primary setting of the full game. If you've watched any of the trailers, the game follows a group of teenagers making a movie at the steel mill in 1980. But in this sort of prologue chapter in the past, the steel mill is still operational, and you're sort of searching for this missing child. And it's the first look at sort of the gameplay, as well as the new twist that the Dead by Daylight license has kind of allowed Supermassive to work with to change up what their normal formula has been for their previous games like Until Dawn or The Quarry. If you've played the Dark Pictures or Until Dawn or any of the previous Supermassive horror games, it's of the same sort of skeleton. Like, it's a choice-driven, very cinematic adventure game. The story can take a variety of different turns and outcomes based on your decisions, as well as how you execute the sort of split-second button prompts that can occur. But this game is a lot more, I guess, for lack of a better term, interactive, because of the Dead by Daylight influences. Like, Supermassive took the opportunity to try to inject more systemic gameplay into what is normally a pretty cinematic experience. Like, they were telling us that the AI has like a non-scripted behavior now, and then also you'll see the traditional button prompts replaced by the Dead by Daylight skill checks, which have been replicated accurately in this game, meaning that it feels like the outcomes of those skill checks have a little bit more nuance, just because of how they work in Dead by Daylight, where if you nail that stop the meter minigame like right in the perfect spot, you'll get what is relatively the best outcome. But if you like fall anywhere outside of it, then it's sort of like different degrees of bad.
Yeah. There's a lot of great, the sound effects are in particular one of the first things that you notice. They're pulling directly from Dead by Daylight. It's really cool.
Yeah. And like I said, it's a single player game, but the game does have the sort of pass the controller mode that like previous Supermassive horror games have. So, you're not playing co-op, but you can take turns passing the controller to sort of make decisions with like another person or maybe a group if you want. Yeah, also pointing out, this is, I believe, Supermassive's first Unreal 5 game, because the Quarry was Unreal 4. Beautiful game. Their games usually always look very sharp. They tend to very much focus on realism, but this game and just some of the subtleties and the facial reactions. Like, I remember in that opening scene, you can actually see like the spit come out of one of the characters' mouth as he's talking. It's a very, very sharp looking game.
They are using Nanite. They're using Lumen. Those are new Unreal Engine 5 technologies. So they're just really changing up the process of making games, getting rid of, for the most part, LODs, which are kind of how a game engine typically processes game objects based on distance. If an object is further away, they're gonna render the less detailed version of an object. If it's closer, you'll get the higher detail. But Unreal Engine 5 lets people just pretty much upload the high-res version of these game objects, and the engine does all the work. It's really cool.
It's for the furnace, I think.
You don't know for sure?
Yeah, I work at the mill, not in the mill.
Just breaking into this grate here.
Yeah, nothing good ever happens when somebody does this.
No, that's why I always fear for construction workers when I see them doing it in the street. I'm like, that's a bad idea.
It is worth noting this footage is publisher provided. This is not our footage, and Behaviour has cut out many of the conversations between these characters that Marcus and I experienced. We also experienced multiple outcomes in those conversations that apparently come to play later on. All that being said, I'm gonna let the rest of this video play without commentary from Marcus and I. You'll get a peek at the Dead by Daylight inspired skill check. We saw that play out multiple different ways in our playthrough and how it injured Sam in multiple ways. In this footage, he kind of gets away pretty cleanly, and unfortunately the video will end before the big encounter, but this all kind of just gives a glimpse into kind of the vibe and the feel of the gameplay that you'll come to see in the casting of Frank Stone. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe to the Game Informer YouTube channel, like the video, share it with a friend, and for all things the casting of Frank Stone, head over to GameInformer.com/Frank Stone. All right, thanks all. Have a good day.